IGNOU DCE DCE 01 General Principles of Writing, Block First, Unit 2nd. Unit 2nd, How to Achieve Lucidity and Directness. 2.0 Aims and Objective. Readability, clarity, lucidity, or directness, call this quality by whatever name you will, is one of the most important values to be cherished in creative writing. For all those, writing is aimed at a reader who must understand what you are saying. Otherwise, communication, which is the purpose of all writing, will not be possible. This fundamental principle of writing is so important that it has been stressed in other units of your syllabus as well. So that when you write, you can aim at meaning, not obscurity, which is unmeaning. You have to remember that. To achieve clarity, you must know thoroughly and competently what you want to clear about. Until your mastery of the subject is complete, you will neither know its broad pattern and its details, nor will you be able to define for yourself what you want to say on the subject. To be able to do so, you must have a deep interest in the subject. Creativity can emerge only from this, so also transparency, which is spontaneous and illuminating. Great scientists or great artists have this quality of creative expression, and mere rigidity of academic discipline cannot help anyone to attain it. Clarity relates to the response of your listener, your reader. If your writing fails to communicate, it has no meaning. But clarity is not facile comprehensibility, a mere simplicity of statement. It applies to complex and highly sensitive thought also, and the difficulty in achieving clarity. To achieve clarity, one has to be master of language, for it is only by manipulating language skillfully that one can express great and complex thoughts effectively. Such manipulation is called technique, in which the mastery of syntax is as important as a competent use of vocabulary. All this will help you to achieve directness and clarity, which make for readability. 2.0 Introduction. This is the second unit of block first of your course. In the first unit, an introductory one, the genesis of writing, the types of writing, the essential aspects of a literary work, tips to an aspiring writer like you, and some helpful do's and don'ts were discussed, as also questions like why does one write and why should one learn to be one's own critique or seek others' opinions. In this unit, the importance of the quality of clarity and directness which imparts value to your work are explained, qualities which have already been referred to in the previous unit. Indeed, their importance cannot be overemphasized because whatever the theme of your work, it will not appeal to the readers if it suffers from the opaqueness or obscurity. As pointed out in the previous unit, the one distinguishing quality of all great literary work is clarity of thought and clarity of expression. 2.2 The dimensions of clarity. What do you want to be clear about? What do you want to address? What is it do you want to make you what is it you want to make clear? 2.2.1 Decide what you want to make clear. What you want to make clear is the subject that you have chosen. You cannot be clear about the smallest detail without being clear about the whole field or the subject of which it is a part. Civil liberties, for example, are concerned with the constitution, the judiciary, the widespread knowledge of law in the society, the expenses of legal action, and an abiding faith in the fruits of judicial system based upon actual experience. The protection of consumers is linked with the entire market condition and the spending mentality of people in an inflationary situation, where it seems evidently more gainful to spend money immediately. 2.2.2 Clarity depends upon proper education. Clarity depends upon an adequate, competent, and relevant education. If you have not mastered your subject, you can only flounder about, and in trying to clarify, you may make it more confusing. Do not try to explain anything which you do not know. Go back to the subject itself. Take all round and distance view of it. And just as you can see the fields and water and forest in pattern from the air, you will find things falling into a design. Clarity requires not only a little time and a distance from the matter you are dealing with, but also demands wide acquaintance with it. 2.2.3 Clarity requires a concrete definition of your subject. Since nobody knows, nor can hope to know everything, clarity needs a distinctive definition of what your subject in hand is. Brash confidence of the I know what I want type is not enough. You have to know about what you want to say. If you are presenting routine information, it is one thing, but it is quite another thing if you are using it for creative writing. since what is needed here is an identification with the subject. As soon as the other man knows that you are not talking about something he already knows, but of something which you know in a special way, he will listen to you. 2.3. Your writing must be engaging. A subject which can form the meta of creative writing must be interesting. Interesting to you and also interesting to the people who are going to read your work. Making things interesting is a skill, and there are exercises which purport to teach you how to do it. These, however, are merely guidelines and cannot teach you creative writing itself. You may succeed in making your writing merely interesting, but you know what you are doing, and so does the man at the receiving end. You are, in fact, being just interesting, not creative. You are not actually interested in the subject, but only want to gain an audience. To make your writing creative, you have to shape it in such a way that it becomes luminous and acquires the power to move others. 2.4. Clarity and transparency. Similar to clarity is the word transparency, which assists us in the attaining clarity. Transparency is like unmotivated attention, is a condition in which an object is viewed without any particular interest in it. Of course, it is a kind of absorption in what you are speaking of, but such concentration usually has a concrete subject when it achieves the condition of clarity. Scientists sometimes attain such transparency when they have acquired mastery of their topic through constant analysis and application. I vividly remember one such instance. Dr. K.S. Krishnan was speaking on the principle of the radar. You'll realize how vivid the impression is when I tell you that it was 41 years ago that I heard Dr. Krishnan speak. It was a mixed audience. Most of the listeners were not scientists, and interesting things go, the theory and operations of radar are not interesting. If Dr. Krishnan had not been absorbed in the subject, if the entire process of the lecture had not been so clearly present to the mind's eye of the speaker, we could not have begun to listen and perceive the level of attention at which alone the subject could have been grasped. For an hour after the lecture, we had the exciting illusion that the theory and principles of radar were as clear to us as to Dr. Krishnan. That the illusion was not permanent is not the point. The medium receiving the perception was unstable. It drifted away. There was no follow up. There were many reasons and explanations. The core of the matter is what a particular relation with a subject matter, when one acts merely as a transparent medium for transmission of ideas, renders far beyond the merely interesting, which is the real level at which the creative mind speaks. A great many of us have felt the utter presence of the artist experience in the sonnets of Shakespeare or the odes of the Keats, or even in as vast a work of as Tolstoy's War and Peace. But it would be almost impossible to conceive of or to attempt the same thing. I am only offering an example of the clarity that can be reached at the highest level by a certain relation with the subject matter. 2.5. Rigidity may affect clarity. Most subjects, even topics academically speaking, have a rigid outline. Academic disciplines require and produce a certain controlling of the mind, and so far as clarity in creative expression goes, this rigidity hinders and may even damage it. You yourself are the basis and source of clarity. Clear expressions must be free, spontaneous, plastic, sensitive to the relation between you and the people to whom you speak. We seem to be very little concerned about the clarity when we express ourselves. We seem to think that it is important to the subject matter that will automatically achieve clarity, or that it is the duty of the reader to extract clarity out of whatever we choose to say, in whichever manner we like. In fact, it is one of the advantages of writing, as different from speech, that questions are not asked of you right there. But never imagine for a moment that because you are writing, questions cannot be asked of you. That kind of feeling or assumption is the enemy of clarity. Some of the best writers are involved with themselves, making their statements, asking their questions, answering them themselves. In such cases, there is no clarity, but only rhetoric, which is a confining of expression. Some of the finest creative work may eventually come out of it, but this does not usually happen. Complete self involvement is not a condition in which you can attain clarity within yourself about what you are saying. 2.6. Clarity is not facile comprehensibility. Clarity does not mean putting everything at superficially comprehensible levels. A great deal can be said very clearly by omitting its essential complications, and it is sometimes useful. is an evolution of clarity to see what the losses are in the achieving this kind of clarity. Such evaluation acts as a salutary check on unclear, complicated expressions we may have used. 2.7. Clarity is not simplicity of statement. If we consider Henry James's novel, The Portrait of Lady, we will have to modify our view of clarity. Clarity is not limited to dealing only with simple matters, simple statements, simple human beings, or simple human experiences. If that were so, clarity would set a frustrating limit on a complex and highly sensitive creative writing. In this novel, Isabel Archer, Madame Marley, Osmond, and Ralph are not simple human beings. The hopes and unions with which the portrait of lady begins and the disillusions which it reaches do not represent simple moment of disappointment. Yet the creative art of Henry James lies in the achievement of clarity and intricacy. The intricate is so presented to the mind's eye that it is lit up by a luminous clarity. This brings up us to the point of saying that clarity has a principle of delight in it which makes it creative. If clarity does not require accuracy of vision, if it does not involve the difficult exercise of precision is conveying this accuracy of vision, it would not be beautiful thing that it is. It is a difficult thing and not the easy thing that is beautiful when rendered appropriately so. 2.8. Always keep your reader in mind. The Victorian convention of addressing the reader may be vanished, but the reader is still very much with us. The clarity of writing, because clarity is a result, an effect, not a quality as such, depends upon our knowing clearly who our reader is. The reader decides our choice of language. Every writer has his preferences, and this may, of course, make him choose readers, but there is no reader absolutely made for language which is the chosen language of the writer. The writer of the age of Shakespeare knew the love of language his audience had and made his reader love his language by leading him further in the same direction. T.S. Eliot did not have readers ready made for the language, knowledge, skill, and potentiality, and yet he drew upon these. His readers found him difficult, but they loved the difficulty. They knew where he was going and were prepared to go along with him, and also had the resources for doing so. One indeed not only seeks one's audience but also creates it as it were. This is not possible for every writer. Relation between language and clarity. Language, being the medium for a diversity of human communication, has to be individualized every time it is used. That is why dialects, slangs, and changes of idiom are so essential to creative writing. An abstract standard of language with its prescriptions of correctness and grammar is never enough for creative writing. There is a kind of clarity which corresponds, which correctness and grammar may bring about. An abstract standard of language with its prescriptions of correctness and grammar is never enough for creative writing. There is a kind of clarity which correctness and grammar may bring about, but beyond that, we need a community of expression which binds all of us together and mobilizes the entire resources of the language. Aristotle, in his definition of classic style, defined it as thinking the thoughts of the wise and speaking the language of the common people. Wise thoughts need not necessarily be expressed in difficult language. The language used by common people can be extraordinarily rich in expressions. Most people recognize the qualities and potentiality of their speech and are able to use it with a sense of creativity, pleasure, and competence. As soon as the writer gets into active touch with the man for whom he wishes to write, he has found the key to clarity, and the response is not only for understanding but also of that delight in the catholicity of experience, which is the field of art. Then the struggle for clarity is over and the new world of delight opens. 2.10. Directness. There are great examples of directness of language both in life and in literature. In fact, the one leads to the other. Shaw himself, a consummate stylist, said force of assertion is the alpha and omega of style. Oliver Cromwell, speaking to the rump, said, "You have stayed in this place too long, and there's no health in you. In the name of God, go." One characteristic which all these share is a strong conviction, a pervasive, direct need and drive for meaning. Strong convictions man have or they acquire them, and it is not relevant here to speak of the roots and modes of such convictions, but it should be evident that the man might have strong convictions and yet remain inexpressive, tongue tied. The convictions might thus falter, remain unexpressed, and come out as anything but direct. 2.10.1 How to achieve directness. Technique. Directness therefore has to be forged by technique. However simple it may look when achieved, it is the result of continuous exercise, application, and refinement. Syntax is the muscle of language, and exercise of syntax brings out the inherent force of the language. A writer has to experiment with the language to discover and adapt its syntax to bring out the compelling force which drives him. Few writers have achieved creative power with directness in the modern times as Ernest Hemingway. The Killers is a story one can go over again and again to see what can be done with the bare bones of syntax. He must have mixed up with something in Chicago. I guess so, said Nick. It's hell of a thing. Then there's a pause during which George takes out a towel and wipes the counter. I wonder what he did, Nick said. Double cross somebody, that's what they kill them for. I'm going to get out of this town, Nick said. Yes, it that is Yes, that is a good thing to do. A hell of a thing, an awful thing, a good thing to do. A straight out of the syntactical forms worn bare by constant uses and yet isolated by variations in the rhythm, surrounded and spaced by silence and laconic speech. They expand with the burden of meaning, a pressure of direct experience that does not bear thinking about. 2.10.2 Clarity and Syntax. Syntax is a structure to which you can return after letting it stand by itself for a time so that it can reveal its outline of meaning. There is a length of time between he must have got mixed up with something in Chicago, and I wonder what he did. But once we have the ominous vagueness of mixed up in something, it is amplified into double cross somebody. Again, we return to anonymous public kind of syntax of statement, a hell of a thing, an awful thing, till we reach the consequence. That's what they kill them for. 2.10.3 Clarity and Vocabulary. The directness of syntax used with structural rise of force is combined with the bareness of vocabulary. The accumulation of meaning which can be carried by the simplest of words thing is sharpened by the structural use of syntax. Lest we should think that this can be done only with the dialogue, let us look at the piece of description from another Hemingway masterpiece, The Short, Happy Life of Francis Macomber. He's dead in there, Wilson said. Good work. And he turned to grip Macomber's hand, and as they shook hands, grinning at each other, the gun bearer shouted wildly, and they saw him coming out of the bush sideways, fast as a crab, and the bull coming, nose out, massive head straight out, coming in a charge, his little pig eyes bloodshot as he looked at them. 2.10.4 Directness. Directness with the sharp changes in action need abruptness. From the chumminess and relaxation of mutual congratulation, we are back to the turmoil of action. Some of the key words are wildly, fast as a crab, bull, and then the anthropomorphic transition to the killer image, nose out, head out, and finally the primitive intention, little pig, eyes bloodshot as he looked at them. It is characteristic of the energy of directness that it leaps over differences, going straight for its point, and we are not deflected, diverted, or confused by any of the peculiarities of expressions that are subsumed in directness. In one animal description, we have bull, crab, pig, but they are kept to their distinct purpose of use, not spilling over into the whole image, which is one of instantaneous danger. Directness, even in Hemingway, the master of the short, simple sentences, does not limit itself by rigidly adhering to the mode of syntax. The details are broken up, clear, vivid, but structured together into the combined moment of catastrophic recognition. Summing up, clarity and directness are the most important qualities of creative writing. Clarity has three dimensions: what you want to be clear about, what you want to make clear, and to whom you want to be clear. To achieve clarity, you must have mastery over your chosen subject, that is, you must distance yourself, think over the matter, and get well acquainted with it. You must be actually interested in the subject and must identify yourself with it. Only then you will be able to present even a familiar matter in a special way so as to hold the reader's attention. Making things interesting to all concerned is a skill which can be learned, but it is not enough for creative writing. which has the power to move others and to make things luminous. Clarity is associated with transparency, which implies an absorption in what is being presented. For example, the lecture on Rida, Shakespeare's sonnets, or Tolstoy's War and Peace. It is you who are the source of clarity. The reader should not be expected to extract clarity from what you present to him. You should yourself anticipate and tackle questions which the reader may ask, but total self involvement does not by itself ensure clarity within yourself about what you are saying. Clarity does not mean mere comprehensibility, since to make a thing comprehensible, one may sometimes omit its essential complexities or complications. Clarity does not come from oversimplified statements alone. One not only seeks an audience but also creates it, as it were. Clarity has a great deal to do with language. In the literary work, it is not enough to achieve grammatical correctness in the use of language for its need to be individualized. Rather, you should aim at the expressiveness and distinctiveness which sometimes characterize the speech of the common people. Strong, unfaltering convictions may help in achieving directness of language, but you need continuous and constant experimentation with language to realize its inherent force. The manipulation of syntax makes for clarity. Skillful structural use of syntax may lend new meanings to words. Glossary has three words: anthropomorphism, epiphany, and rhetoric. Anthropomorph- anthropomorph- anthropo- Anthropomorphism: animals and objects are given human forms and qualities. Epiphany: in literature, epiphany means an intuitive and sudden insight into the reality and basic meaning of an event. Rhetoric: the body of principles and theory concerned with presentations of fact and ideas in clear, convincing, and attractive language, whether spoken or written.